Nothing's iMessage app is now nothing.
I can't even imagine a sillier thing to worry about.
Worrying about what kind of phone everybody has might make people not want to go out with them again. And then I told them I didn't want to go out with them again.
Elon Musk's flying penis explodes all over the Gulf of Mexico.
So the first separation was expected and successful. The next several million separations were unexpected, correct?
Yes. The other nice thing that happened is they didn't blow up their launch pad like they did last time. Hello, how the tech are you? I am historian Matt, and we are jumping straight into stories today. See, my co-hosts will introduce themselves later, but my first story is Nothing's iMessage app is now nothing. Real quick, what that was is Nothing. There's the Nothing phone created a messaging app which would allow you to send messages to iPhones and show up as blue bubbles. This is kind of a versus green bubbles if you're on normal Android phones, and the Nothing phone is an Android phone. Turns out that the process they were using, which was an app created by a company called Sunbird, was riddled with security issues and was taken down 24 hours after they put it up. The part of the problem was the app, which basically Nothing had reskinned for their own phone, was asking you to give them the Apple username and password, which is a security issue right there, especially if they didn't have stuff well encrypted. But then they actually were sending text messages unencrypted. It seems to be unencrypted to their services, not, once it gets onto the iMessage service. But what do you guys think? Did you guys hear about this and this whole fiasco?
No, but I did hear that RCS is going to be the new standard anyway, and it's going to kind of get rid of all of this.
Yes, I'm very happy about iPhone being willing to implement RCS. But I've heard of Nothing. I didn't realize that they had an app that supposedly interfaced with iMessage. I don't know why you would even want this. From an Android perspective, why would you want this app to even exist?
Well, I can tell you why.
Okay.
I didn't really go into details in this, but I don't know if you've heard of I guess you call it the blue bubble envy kind of thing at all. But the idea was, so if you're on an iPhone, you send a text message to another iPhone, it shows up as a blue bubble because they're using their messaging service. If you send it from Android, it's SMS, it shows up as a green bubble. And people who had iPhones were making fun of the people who have Androids, and you could very quickly tell who had what kind of phone based on the color of their text message when it popped up. So this is for people who are very status conscious, and somehow iPhone is the higher status one.
That seems to me like the silliest thing to worry about possible. Like I can't even imagine a sillier thing to worry about.
Yeah, I got to tell you, the first time somebody told me I had a green bubble, I didn't know what the hell they were talking about.
And when they told you what it meant, did you give a shit at all?
No, I kind of told them that right. It was like somebody I'd been on like a couple dates with or whatever, and I kind of told them that maybe worrying about what kind of phone everybody has might make people not want to go out with them again. And then I told them I didn't want to go out with them again. Though it wasn't because of the bubbles. It was just it was a good a time as any to tell them I didn't want to go out with them again.
I feel like I would rather be in a room full of people who care deeply about their own IQ.
Oh, I don't know. That one's close. That one's close. More on that on another one of our shows. I know you have both, HK, because you're a software developer. Yep. But you use your Android phone as your primary. Like if I were to text you, with the number I have, I'd probably get your Android phone, right?
No, I actually use my iPhone as my primary phone, and I almost switched back to Android. If this phone, the brand new iPhone, didn't have Lightning, I would have switched back to Android, or not Lightning, USB-C. I would have switched back to Android because I literally don't care. They're the fucking same to me.
They accomplish the same thing.
Yeah, they work the same. They look the same. One has an apple and the other has a little green robot. Who cares?
Yeah, I think that, and I think maybe we're just aged out of this because we all come from a time where our first phones, maybe we even had to use T9 to text people.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't. So I think there may be a little bit of a generation gap here where people maybe over 35 or over 30 even don't care about this, and it might be like a younger person thing, or maybe some people will just say it ironically because they heard other people saying it and they don't actually care about it.
I was fucking fast with T9 too. I could text someone with one hand in like a minute. Text someone a long message in a minute. Just
I got a new phone and I can no longer text with one hand because the phone's too damn big.
I feel like we're old enough that our identities aren't really tied to, the phone our daddies bought for us. So
I also feel like as the three of us probably spend more time on a computer as our primary like compute device than maybe younger people, because I think that a lot of younger people, maybe they have a laptop, but they're not sitting in front of it all day, right? If they want to even edit a short video or whatever, they're doing it on their phone or mobile device. Whereas, HK, you're still a software developer. Matt, you are, I would call you unemployed, but that's not quite accurate. But if you
fine by me.
But if you're going to hit me up on Discord, for example, you're probably more likely to just do it on your computer than your phone.
Discord, yeah.
So like, and
I do have it on both, but
yeah.
Discord,
and I mean,
definitely.
I'm in front of my computer all day, doing show prep and editing videos. So my phone, like if I didn't have a KDE Connect, I would have no idea when anybody texts me or anything like that. Like, so I think it's maybe generational, but it also may be like HK was saying, or maybe I forget which one of you were saying it, that the people who are concerned with their status in what I would call a fairly unhealthy way sort of care about that.
Like as someone who has both, they literally like they're the fucking same to me. Like,
yeah, I've never had an iPhone, but I mean, I don't know. I might buy one day. I don't know. But then I'd have to I don't even know what I'd have to do different. Probably nothing. Just probably have to re-download my apps manually instead of letting the phone do it for me. All right. Well, what do you got next, Matt?
Cursor. Okay. Title of my next piece is Elon Musk's flying penis explodes all over the Gulf of Mexico. What am I talking about? Well, of course, I'm talking about SpaceX's latest version of Starship, which launched on Saturday from the company's South Texas launch site. So Starship is SpaceX's large rocket, I forget what they call it, but it's their biggest rocket. And apparently it's the biggest rocket ever made. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I keep reading that in different places. But I would like to verify before I make that claim solidly. But anyways, the rocket flew for over 8 minutes before exploding 100 miles over the Gulf of Mexico. I believe that's 100 miles up, not traveling 100 miles. But the goal was actually to try to fly mostly around the world. And it was supposed to basically splash back down to Earth before completing an entire orbit. And it would have splashed down in the Pacific. Instead, the rocket made it past the separation stage. It's a 2-stage rocket, and it actually separated. It's called a hot staging, as they call it, where the rockets on the second stage actually fire before the first stage rockets completely stop firing and separate in a special way. Unfortunately, a few minutes after separation, the automated flight termination system triggered, destroying the second stage. And I didn't write in my notes, but the first stage also didn't blow up, what they call it. It broke apart shortly after it separated. So it successfully separated, but broke apart. Their intention was to have it basically have a soft landing. I don't think they were actually planning to try to land it on a barge out at sea, which they've done with some other rockets. The future, they expect to do that, but this time everything blew up. So they couldn't do it at all. The rocket did officially make it into space, which is the first time they've done it with this rocket, the Starship. What do you guys think? So
the first separation was expected and successful. The next several million separations were unexpected, correct?
Yes. And they don't know. It's a rapid, unscheduled disassembly, right?
Yep.
Yes.
They don't know why the failure system went off and blew up the second stage yet. They, of course, have gathered a lot of data, and it's just at this point, as the recording of this podcast, we don't know why it decided to blow up the second stage. Maybe if we find out before editing, we can put in a little text thing or lower third to say what happened.
What's editing?
We do edit this one.
So what you're telling me is they have a system on board this rocket, decides to abort the launch and self-destruct.
Yep.
And it doesn't send any sort of signal or telemetry about why it's doing that?
I think it did, but they
just
also
weren't paying
collected a lot
attention?
of other data, and maybe it said why it happened, but they're not releasing it yet. They may be doing further analysis. That's what I think is happening, but nobody seems to know why it went off, just that it did. And it does that because they think, it's supposed to do that for several reasons, including if the rocket starts to go off course. They, of course, don't want it to go land in a populated area, so they blow it up before it goes too far out of off course. But yeah, we don't know exactly what happened.
This is a private company, so they have probably, maybe if the data is embarrassing to them, maybe we'll never see it.
That's true. But I doubt it unless it's very embarrassing, or they may just make something up. I don't know.
Make something up is always an option. You are correct.
That's true.
It doesn't seem like SpaceX tends to hide embarrassing things. I mean, they kind of have a lot of embarrassing failures that they're pretty public about. So I would be surprised if they were hiding anything here. I could be wrong.
Well, I want to point out that they don't consider it a failure, or the mission as a whole as a failure, as it did make it further than the last time they sent up the rocket. They got to certain milestones that they really wanted to be done, including that separation, the stage separation, which they didn't do in a previous. They weren't able to do in a previous launch. So yeah, even though obviously when your rocket completely blows up and and you don't recover anything, it certainly seems like a failure. In their case, they're not really.
I understand that SpaceX tends to not call things a failure no matter what.
The other nice thing that happened is they didn't blow up their launch pad like they did last time. I don't know if you heard about that, but this time the launch pad actually survived.
That was a feature.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all I got.
Everybody, thanks for listening to How the Tech Are You. This is our weekly tech show at Echoplex Media. You can check out all of our other shows and all of our other stuff at echoplexmedia.com. And don't forget to click the support tab while you're there. I need your money.